Now for 2025, Land Rover has updated the Velar, and the thing is, it looks absolutely stunning from an exterior design. Look at the proportions and line flow and the subtle design flow that we have, or surface that we have in the body of this car. I think it's a beautiful looking SUV. However, when they updated the interior, I don't know what happened there. They used to have one of the best interiors in the business. Specifically when I reviewed, I remember the Defender, I was amazed by just how well put the interior was, and now it's something completely different. We're gonna have a look at that, and also I'm gonna let you know what I think about that when we talk about this interior later on, and I want to hear your opinions about that as well. We're also gonna have a look at the front end design, the side view, the rear, the interior of course, and then we're gonna take it for a drive. Now, as always, before we jump in and talk about this beautiful, stunning exterior design that we have for the 2025 Velar, let's have a look at what's underneath the hood. We do a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder here, 245 horsepower and 269 pound-feet of torque. This being the, I do believe this is the smallest engine you can get in the 2025 Velar. You have an 8-speed automatic, all-wheel drive, of course. 0 to 60 takes about 7.1 seconds. Top speed 135 miles per hour. Fuel economy comes in at 22 city, 26 highway. And the price for this one, as tested with all these options we're going to talk about in a minute. For example, we have the very Sign Blue $950 option for this exterior color. We also have the black roof. As you can see, that is an $800 option. The price for this, as tested, comes in at $76,115,000. The base price is $63,600. Some of the options that we have here for this specific one is the dynamic handling pack, for example. That is a $2,275 option. That gives you air suspension. It lowers as you walk into the car. You can also set it in an off-road setting and raise it up a little bit. I do believe you have a max 8.1 inches of ground clearance. You also have the red brake calipers, as you can see. And in addition to that, we have the cold climate pack, which is $1,175. That gives you a heated windscreen. So you have all these small little lines in the windscreen. You can see them when you're driving. It's sort of, I don't know, it's not annoying, but you just notice them there all the time. You also have heated and ventilated seats and heated rear seats with that package. Then you have the tech package as well. $1,300 gives you 3D surround cam. You have a head-up display in addition to wade sensing capability. So you can wade up to 23 inches of water with that package. And last but not least, here we do have the 21-inch wheels, $2,600. We're going to talk more about that in a minute. Glad they're now black. We finally starting to get some more gray and silver wheels back in the market, but you can get this still with the blacked out wheels if you want to. Now, as I said, I think the exterior design of this Velar is absolutely beautiful. It's a stunning looking car. The proportions, the line flow, the surface treatment, everything looks super clean. And there's no mistaking this for anything else than a Range Rover Velar, except for maybe a Range Rover Sport. But you can see that we do have very subtle lines here. We have these Range Rover graphics up here, which I'm not so sure about. I wish these were open and had some functionality to them. Full LED headlights in the front end and the daytime running lights, the indicators, everything is LED. Very slim headlights here, as you can see, looking very clean and dynamic. I also love that all the trim is blacked out. You don't have a single piece of chrome in the front end, not even in the side, I do believe. And we also have this big grille with these adaptive shutters behind it, looking very clean and simplistic styling. Also blacked out Range Rover letters up top. Thankfully these are not silver. I think it looks so much better with this blue color and the blacked out graphics. All the way down low we do have the LED fog lights as well, integrated in this area down here. And thankfully we do have some functionality when you look at these intakes right here on the side. Again, very stylistic and clean design. I love that we have a clear separation of the top half graphics here and the lower half graphics. It just looks very, very nice and very classy design from Land Rover when it comes to the Velar. Now, coming around to the side view here, and I think this is actually my favorite view of the Velar, the side view in general. It just has a very sleek looking design to it. I love the lower section line here, as you can see, then goes abruptly upwards in the rear end, also sloping roof line, giving it this forward motion when you're looking at it from this angle right here. Now, as we spoke about, we have the optional 21-inch wheels here, 265 21s in the rear end. And let's see if we have the same dimensions in the front end. Yes, we do, 265 are 21s in the front as well. And the design of this, I think it's a beautiful looking wheel, very simplistic styling. They actually look a little bit smaller than 21s. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe you can get this with 22s in black if you want to have that as well. And actually, in this case, with all the blacked out graphics that we have all across this car, I actually think that the black wheels look really, really good on this design. Now we do have the optional black roof as well, as we talked about, in addition to the full moonroof up top. We also have the blacked out side mirrors here with the indicator integrated in it, and some more slick graphics on the side here. You can see that the door handles now pop out. Otherwise it sits flush with the body, and I love that. This gives it such a clean looking side profile when the door handles sit flush in the bodywork. I'm not sure how well they work at winter time if they freeze up or something like that, which would not be great, but I'm sure Land Rover has tested all of that before they put this into production. Very nice chiseled shoulder line here as well, straight through the entire length of the car into the very corner of the beautiful looking taillights right here. So overall, again, this is probably my favorite view of this car. I also like the black graphics in the lower section, because what that does makes it look a lot more athletic than what it is, because it removes some of this volume and mass in the lower section. Now, coming around to the very stunning, beautiful looking rear end. One of the best looking SUVs on the market today. I mean, just look at the styling back here. I love how this goes up so harshly, not harshly, but a lot in the rear end. And what that does, it creates a very tight, sporty looking rear end. In addition to the beautiful looking taillights, you can see that we have some very dynamic feeling here. Thicker here and goes into a thin piece, and then to this beautiful side profile of the taillights, stretching into this shoulder line, then goes all the way across into the headlights in the front end. Just a stunning, stunning design by Land Rover for the Velar. We don't have any exhaust pipes here, which in this case I think it's fine. You can see them sticking out underneath here, but not having the exhaust pipes visible just adds to this elegant, clean look that we have back here. Parking sensors integrated in the lower section of the bumper, and also this black graphics that we have in the side now comes back in a very high up in the rear section. And what that does, again, it just makes it feel a lot more sporty in the rear and super dynamic. I also love how this line right here continues from the line that we have going in the middle of the car right there. Now, one thing that would ruin the aesthetics of the rear end if we were to have a wiper located right here in the middle and just completely ruin the clean layout that we have in the back. But thankfully, they extended the roof spoiler here a little bit. You can see that it is functional. We have holes up here. It's very big, and what that does is it allows for the wiper to actually be hidden right in there when it's not in use, and then swings down when you're using it. Again, I just love the blacked out graphics that we have all around this car. Even the Velar badge here is blacked out, and this Range Rover in the middle. So let's open up the trunk and let's see what this is all about. It's of course power assisted, and you do have plenty of space back here. Start obviously with this sloping, sporty design. It's not going to have the same type of volume in the back like we have in a proper Range Rover, but still, I mean, for me, this is totally fine. You have the 60-40 split right there. You have a storage space right here, and if you open this up, you can see that we have a spare tire underneath this floor right in there, in addition to a couple of grocery bags holders here. It's 4 in total, and a 12-volt outlets. And to me, this is more than enough space than I will ever need in pretty much any car. So let's close this back down. And now, we talked about the beautiful exterior here, but we still need to address what's going on in this interior, because to me, what Land Rover has done here is done a complete 180 in the completely wrong direction when it comes to the interior. And I don't know why this is happening across the board. It feels like all the car manufacturers, they just went in a secret meeting and said, let's just make the interiors all screens. Let's remove all the buttons and features, you know, physical dials, and let's just annoy the people, because we know they don't want this. But you know what? We're still gonna do it. And that's exactly what happened here. So let's jump in and check out this new interior for 2025. All right, so jumping in here, first of all, we can unlock it, keyless entry, by just clicking that button right there and opening this up. You can see just how minimalistic it became for 2025. I mean, just look at the center console there. There's nothing around the gear selector. It just looks so strange. Looking at the door panel here, we do have the Meridian sound system. Very high quality and sturdy. Look at the size of this door panel, the door handle right here. I like the styling of the door panel. This can be as simplistic as you want to make it. I don't care about that. We have the controls for the windows and the mirrors here, in addition to the memory seat in 3 different settings right there, and some storage down low at the bottom. When you're stepping in, you're gonna see Range Rover down here looking beautiful. Seats are nice as well. They're not the most comfortable seats I've ever sat in, and they also squeak. I don't know if you can hear it right now, but when you're driving this side right here squeaks like crazy when you're taking a right-hand corner. We're gonna talk about that when we take this for a drive later on. Something that I would not want to see in a car over $70,000. Of course, power assisted controls for the seats all the way down there. So let's jump in here and let's fire this up. Let's see what this is all about. And let me show you what I'm talking about when it comes to this interior compared to the pre-facelift interior, which was 100 times better than what we have right here. I mean, I'm not exaggerating, because the problem now is Land Rover did exactly what everybody else is doing. I think this is maybe even a worse upgrade than what BMW did with the iDrive 9 system, going from iDrive 7 or 8. So what we have right now, everything is integrated in this 11.4-inch infotainment screen, which looks clean. I mean, it's not too big of a screen. Integration is not the best, because you can see that it sort of floats in the middle of nowhere here. But instead of having these beautiful dials that they used to have, where you had a small little screen inside of the dial itself, and you could press the dials to switch the functions of the dials. I mean, I sat in the Defender when I reviewed that about a year ago or so. I sat in it and I was looking around the interior and thought, it just does not get any better than this. And then they come out and just remove all those genius features that we had. We have some gloss black here as well that looks pretty decent, I guess. But everything, as I said, is integrated in the infotainment screen right now. So if you want to pull up the climate settings, you click this button right here. And it's not the fastest system either. We do have heated seats in 3 different levels, ventilated seats as well. And then if you want to turn it off, you just click that button down there. Fan speed, it's not even beautiful design for the user interface, in my opinion. If you want to figure out where the air comes out from, you just click that button and hit these graphics right here to figure that out. Like, from a design standpoint, from a user standpoint, I don't know how anybody can say that this is a better integration than what we used to have in the pre-facelift. It just does not make sense to me at all. But that is what we get these days. You can see just how simplistic and minimalistic this area is. And to me, this just looks very strange. We have a platform here, and right in the middle of the platform, the only thing you have here, like this little island of the gear selector in the middle. Looks very strange. You can open this up. We do have a wireless charger here. Couple of just one USB, actually, one USB-C, and a bit more storage in the bottom. The charging pad is thankfully rubberized, so your phone is not going to slide around everywhere. And if you want to go into the drive modes, again, everything is controlled through this infotainment screen right here. Go into mode. You have comfort, dynamic, or eco. You have off-road modes here as well, which you can check out: gravel, snow, mud, ruts, and sand. We can go into gravel and snow, mud, or ruts. You can see that it changes up here on the inside of the gauge cluster, which is also fully customizable. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Now, all the way down here in the off-road settings, you can see that we have 4x4 information. Let's see what that is all about. You can see exactly if you have your center locker on, the shocks, how much they are working, the angle of the vehicle as well. So this looks pretty clean to me. Ride height, we can change that here to have access normal off-road. As I said, the off-road setting is going to give you about 8 inches of ground clearance, and you also have the weight sensing here. So overall, this infotainment system is just such a letdown to me compared to what we used to have. When you've experienced the old system, I honestly don't know how anybody can say that this is better than what we used to have before. Putting it into reverse though, we have the camera settings, and these camera settings are absolutely beautiful. You do have the full 360 camera here. You can switch between these camera angles. Very high resolution, looking beautiful here, the Velar on in these animations. And if you want, you can also click this 3D button right here, where you can toggle with these arrows and check out all the surroundings around your vehicle. Looking super clean. The camera system in this car is fantastic. Putting it into reverse is going to give you the trajectory lines. You can also see underneath the vehicle as we move backwards here. you can see that the car itself is sort of transparent, so you can see exactly what is underneath the car as well. And looking at the gauge cluster here, I do believe this is a 12.3-inch gauge cluster, and thankfully this integration is stunning. We have a nice cap for it in addition to the optional head-up display in the front. This is also customizable. You can click this button in the middle and customize pretty much every single thing you want to customize here. How you want the layout, 2 dials, 1 dials. If you want the full map, you can get that here as well. So let's check that out, what that looks like. Full-blown map like that, or we can go back. I like to keep it in just 2 dials like this, have a pretty classic looking layout. And when we have these 2 dials, you can also switch out what you want to have in the middle section here, have the map or some other information. So fully customizable, exactly what I want to see when we have a fully digital gauge cluster like this. I actually like it with this small little classic clock in the middle. And looking at the steering wheel itself, we have a lot of gloss plastic. On the right side here, you have the controls for the cruise control settings and the heated steering wheel. It's located right here as well. On the left side, you have the controls for the voice command and also to customize the gauge cluster right there in the middle like we just did. You have Range Rover in the middle looking beautiful. And I do believe these are actually metal paddles for the gearbox, which is nice to see, gives it some more upscale feel. Looking at the seats here, as I said, not the most comfortable seats, and the design looks pretty bland to me as well. Not the cleanest design for the seats. I would like to see some sort of Velar or Range or Land Rover, something inside of the headrest or the backrest here to make them feel a little bit more special. This area is completely empty as well for the passenger. We have this line up top which houses the vents, 2 in the middle and 2 on each side. We have the stock for the windshield wiper right here on the right side and the stock for the indicator and the light setting on the left side. All the way back here, 2 cup holders, of course, pretty standard stuff. You can open this in a split opening. You can open one side of the armrest or you can open both as well. You have an additional USB right here. The storage is not the biggest I've seen in an SUV this size, but it's still pretty deep. So let's close this back down. And I do believe we talked about everything in the front end, in addition to, of course, the big glove box here and the big pano sunroof that goes all the way back to the headrest of the passenger. So with that said, let's jump back and check out if I can fit behind my own driving position, being 6'1", 6'2" in the back seat. Overview of the back seat. We still have the big sturdy door handle here for the passenger seats. Nicely wrapped in leather for the armrest and a little bit of storage down here. Meridian sound system speakers all the way down at the bottom. Looks pretty decent back here. I do think I'm not going to have any problems fitting in the back behind my own driving position. And as I expected, it's decent back here. It's not the biggest leg room. If I sit like this, you see that my legs are going to hit this area, but I would probably just sit like this. And if I do that, I have plenty of headroom, plenty of leg room, in addition to the cold climate package we have here. That means that we do have heated seats in the back as well, in addition to 2 USBs and a cigarette 12-volt outlet. If we fold down the center armrest, we are going to find ourselves 2 cup holder here as well. Alright guys, let's take the 2025 Range Rover Velar for a drive, and let's see if the drive itself is going to help me forget what Land Rover has done with this interior here. So 247 horsepower and 269 pound-feet of torque. Doesn't sound like a lot in an SUV this size, and specifically when you're paying over 70 grand for this thing. The ride quality with the air suspension going over these smooth waves here in this on this road feels very nice. Super comfortable ride, which I wouldn't expect anything less from this type of vehicle. But you can, I don't know if you can hear the squeaking in the seats. As every time I take a right turn, the seat here is squeaking. And that is something that you don't want to see in a brand new $70,000 plus SUV. Now stepping on it here, it's not going to be a very fast car, this thing. You have 7.1 seconds 0 to 60. I feel like a car like this, I mean, it should be at least in the 6-second range, because it just feels too, it doesn't feel like it's connected. The powertrain doesn't feel like it does the exterior design any justice, and the price point as well. So let's check out the drive modes here. Let's go into dynamic, and also let's put it into sport. So we're in manual paddles now. You got the red gauges going on there. Downshifts are very, very quick. Let's check the upshift here. Yeah, not bad. But I think the power is, the lack of power doesn't really make it that fun to use the shifters here manually. I mean, it shifts very, very quickly. I give it that. But it doesn't feel like a sporty experience, if that makes sense. All right, coming to a complete stop here. First gear, and let's go. And we're up to 60 there. I did miss the first gear change a little bit, shifted too early. But 7.1 seconds is not really gonna push you back in your seat when you're stepping on it. But the biggest letdown for this, the facelift is, as you know, the interior. I would like to sit down with interior designers or car manufacturers in general and just ask them, like, why are we removing all of these great designs for the interiors? Like, what is the point of it? What is the point of stripping it down to this, a screen where you can control everything that's happening in the car instead of having the physical knobs and dials? Because it's a lot easier to feel your way to what you're doing and get, you know, after a couple of hours, you get to know the car, you know exactly where all the dials are. Here, you don't need to take your eyes off the road. Now, you need to hit exactly this small little square to go into the climate settings, and then you need to exactly hit that small little square to change the, you know, heated and ventilated seats. To me, it just does not make sense. I'm not sure what's going on here. So let's come onto the highway here, and let's step on it. We're still in dynamic, going downhill, and we're up to 60, 70. It's really not a very, very quick SUV, this thing. Would be cool to review the, I'm not sure if they still have it, is it called the SVR? I think they had a V8. Do they still have that for sale? That to me would be the optimal Velar, obviously, to have a little bit more power than this. So we get the 0 to 60 down to at least 5 seconds or something like that. Then this would be a very, very interesting proposition with the old interior. So I would buy a used Velar, 100%, save a lot of money and get a lot classier interior. That's what I would do today if I were in the market for a Velar. I would 100% look for a used. I'm not sure if this was updated in 2024 or for the 2025 model year, but even maybe go back to 2020 and get the classic, stunning, beautiful exterior that we have still intact in 2025, but we also get the old interior, of course. So cruising along here on the highway, I'm not sure why we're still in dynamic. Let's actually put it in eco, and let's see what that is all about. Everything turns green on the gauge cluster, pretty standard stuff. Very comfortable ride. Even though we're rolling on 21-inch wheels, it's not a very harsh ride. And Range Rover has always been like, you have a lot of sportiness, but you also need to have a lot of comfort in these cars. That is what Range Rovers are all about, and also their off-road capabilities. So they try to be a lot of things, but this is one of these rare cars, specifically the Range Rover, the regular one, that does 3 categories very, very well. It's a sporty car, it's an extremely comfortable car, and it's also extremely comfortable off-road, which is not very, very easy to do. Now this one, the Velar, is not going to be as capable off-road, of course, as the proper Range Rover, but it's still, at least it hits one of the categories very well, and that is the comfort. Sportiness, off-road worthiness, not so much. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.